So good luck and happy wastewater harvesting. Plants and biologically active soil can clean dirty water. It's as simple as that. People are dying and ecosystems are being ruined by poor sanitation and lack of water treatment. Yet this is just one of the easiest things to fix when we collaborate with nature. We're talking about gray water, which is the slightly dirty water from showers, laundry, and sinks. And we're talking about black water, which is water from toilets and other really dirty uses. So let's start by looking at wetland plants. So the root systems of wetland plants are like giant festivals of microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. This massive microorganism party can actually biodegrade most minor pollutants, breaking them down into harmless elements. The microorganisms are partying on the roots, and the roots form this mat that becomes a living filter, trapping sediment and supplying food and drink for the festival of life. So in addition to this root filter, some wetland plants can actually absorb heavy metals from the water up into their tissues. So the goal of any wetland water treatment system is to create the maximum amount of contact between the dirty water and the roots of a diversity of plant species. So the very simplest version of how this concept is used in wastewater treatment is the constructed wetlands. So in this example, wastewater flows into this gravel-filled basin that's planted with wetland plant species and is lined on the bottom with either plastic or cement or some other material so the water doesn't seep into the ground, but it stays in this container here. So the water flows underneath the gravel level, so dirty water is never exposed to the air. Now you can also place some sort of baffles in the system, so the water is forced to move up and down through the system, ensuring maximum contact with the plant roots. And then at the end of the system, much cleaner water emerges after its time flowing through this big plant filter. So it's super basic, just a liner, gravel, pipes, and plants. And it's all about maximizing the contact between the water and the plant roots to get the effect of this awesome party that goes on with the microorganisms on the plant roots. Now, another really cool system is known as a living machine or an eco-machine, which is used to treat black water. In this version of wetland water treatment, the water flows through a series of tanks. So for black water, it would start in a septic tank to settle out the solids. Now, this is an opportunity to collect biogas to fuel your kitchen as well. But then, from here, the water would go into another anaerobic tank, meaning a tank with no oxygen, which helps to further digest the sludge material. So from the anaerobic environment, we would then radically change the environment of the water and flow it into a tank full of plants where oxygen is actually pumped in. So there's lots of biological activity in the water. And the water would get to filter through all of those awesome plant roots like we were talking about here with the party. So the water flows into the bottom and then out the top of each successive tank where oxygen is pumped in and where all sorts of aquatic plants and animals live. So essentially, the water is being forced through a super biologically active filter and is cleaned along the way. Now, the size of the system depends on how much water is being treated and how many days of treatment it needs to clean the water. So if each of these tanks equals the quantity of water that goes into the system each day, then the day would receive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of treatment as the water moves through the entire system from beginning to end. So it's really this simple. Biological activity breaks down wastes and absorbs excess nutrients. There are many, many different configurations of these types of systems, so please see the resources provided in the video description down below for lots more. Here's some footage of a gorgeous living wastewater treatment wetland I visited in India. And this system handles all of the water from a hotel complex, including toilets. So the dirtiest household waste can be treated with plants and oxygen. But it's even simpler when we're treating the barely dirty water coming from showers and laundry. So let's check out some gray water systems. So all we need to treat most gray water is for the water to contact biologically active soil. Now, the cleanest and most diluted gray water in our homes with the highest volume typically comes from the shower, bath, and laundry. The kitchen and bathroom sinks actually have pretty concentrated pollutants and may require a grease trap, so they're not really the easiest sources of gray water to recycle and may be better categorized as black water. Now, you need to consider what products you're using that are going down your drain and into your gray water system. There are biodegradable cleaning products and bath products. And there are also biocompatible products. This means that there are products that will break down, biodegradable, but aren't necessarily good for plant growth, like those containing a lot of sodium, which is salt. Now, biocompatible products actually break down into elements that are beneficial for plant growth. Check the video description for a link to a suggested brand. Here's my laundry system, thriving with luscious plants, and you can see on the back of my laundry detergent, it specifies that it's gray water safe. There are so many different variations on gray water systems, but my very favorite is the branch drain gray water system that was created by a guy named Art Ludwig, and check the description below for a link. Now, the gray water is split from its source into various outlet points, and each outlet pipe flows into a bucket with the bottom cut out and holes drilled into it. So the bucket is surrounded by wood chips or other coarse mulch and has a tile on top. So all this is happening underground. The water spills out of the pipe and has a free fall to the bottom of the bucket. So there's no contact between the pipe and the soil. This is super important because one of the main risks for your system is having roots clog your pipe up. So the water spills into this chamber, and then it soaks into the wood chips, which act as a sponge. Now, around the wood chips are planted perennial plants, like trees, whose roots find their way into the wood chip sponge and have a continual supply of water every time you take a bath. Now, the wood chips buffer the hot water, and the whole area becomes super biologically active with the gray water, soil, and wood chips. Now, eventually, these wood chips will break down into soil, and all that biology cleans and feeds on the dirt from your shower, and an oasis of luxuriant perennial plants grow as a result. And it all stays underground, so there's no possible contact between people or animals and the dirty water. And you can remove the tile to check on the system and make sure it's all flowing nicely. So that is just one super simple example. And like I said, there are hundreds of variants, but the basic principles are the same. Clean the water with biologically active soil and plants. Moderate what you put down the drain. Use woody perennials around the system. Avoid root infiltration by having air gaps, and keep it all underground so there's no human contact. And here's one more. Don't do this in the ground if you have a shallow water table. You need good soil drainage to keep the gray water below the surface. So good luck and happy wastewater harvesting.